I realise I'm a little bit late with this, but who would have guessed? You know, the game has been delayed, as it should always have been. So firstly, Tripwire has been given mountains of feedback since KF3's first reveal, you know, back in 2023. Many people raised their concerns, and rightfully so, mainly regarding the specialist systems and just the look of the characters and the weapons. You know, some of us even noticed the janky animation work in the first few clips that they released. You know, I think of like the clot running animation or, you know, the flesh pound, and there's been minor changes since then. So moving forward, you know, you guys saw my previous two videos in regards to quality and animations with the Zed comparisons, and I want to thank you all for those amazing comments and, you know, the feedback and everything like that. But you can see it for yourself, really. The foundation of quality is Killing Floor 2. That is your starting point. You know, you've raised your bar to that level. You don't pick up a new bar and try to raise it to the same level. Why would you start from scratch with an inferior product, you know, lacking all the substance and quality from Killing Floor 2, which came out, you know, 10 years ago? Just build on top of what works and then make it better. And I think I speak on behalf of most people when I say what we would like to see in Killing Floor 3, and that's pretty much going back to attention to detail. Because the attention to detail in Killing Floor 2 was pretty mind-blowing, and it doesn't get enough credit. And starting off with the weapons, you know, I think Tripwire is pretty well known for their attention to detail with their weapons. I think back to Rising Storm, you know, Red Orchestra, even Killing Floor 1 had pretty amazing animations for its time. I think the scar in Killing Floor 3 is odd. It has some unnecessary attachments on it that don't really serve any sort of purpose other than aesthetic, and even so, they don't look that good. It has some sort of like overheating steam release system, ventilation. And also when you reload, the animation kind of like cuts itself off at the end, as you can see here, like that. So in Killing Floor 2, depending on your class perk, your weapon was also affected by reload speed. You know, one option was increased reload speed or deeper penetration. So on this clip, you can see that the mag change is a lot faster. Instead of racking the slide, you also use the slide release, which I didn't see any in Killing Floor 3. In Killing Floor 3, a lot of the weapon inspect animations are bugged. You know, you pull out the mag and there's nothing in your hand.
Like how strong?
I really love the animations in Killing Floor 2, you know, whether it's a mag check or a press check. The animators really showed off here, and it shows. And the weapons in Killing Floor 2 were recorded or animated under 200 FPS. So if you look closely, you can actually see the red dot shaking during Z time. And every single weapon has animation like this. And as you can see, the whole barrel and front sight are bouncing. Now, I didn't get to play the Ninja that much, so I didn't really record anything. But I did see a lot of feedback from Berserker mains stating that due to the terrible animations of the Scrake, they were like next to impossible to block their attacks or predict oncoming attacks. With Killing Floor 2, you can actually see and predict when to block. And just as a side thing, in Killing Floor 2, there's a parry perk. So if you parry a successful melee attack, you get extra damage and speed as a reward for your prediction. One very cool feature in Killing Floor 2 is if you do any damage or hit anything fleshy, your weapon will become bloody, and you can actually clean it. And this works for most melee weapons, including your knife as well. And speaking of knives, every single class in Killing Floor 2 has their own knife, as you can see here. This is the Berserker with a lawnmower blade, which is just awesome. The Specialist has a gore shiv, kind of like a broken short sword, I'd imagine. And the SWAT has a tactical knife, which is pretty cool. And the Sharpshooter has a kukri, which is awesome, even if it takes up half the screen. And Gunslinger has a Bowie knife. Ish, not a knife. And the Firebug has a karambit, or a fireman's knife. And Demo has a utility knife, kind of like a giant Stanley knife. And my personal favourite, the Medic with a scalpel. This thing is so cool. And Support gets a machete, or a machete. And finally, the Commando gets a K-bar, which I believe is some sort of US Army knife. And this is just a small portion of the attention to detail in KF2, which I would love to see rolled over to KF3. I haven't even touched on how all the Zeds, stumble in different directions depending on how they're shot, exploded, or pummeled. And they also block attacks with their melee weapons, which you can pretty much see here. And it just adds a whole nother dynamic to gameplay, especially when you have many Zeds on screen, all reacting to your actions. And I didn't really see any of that during the beta in Killing Floor 3. I did see some comments saying that the Gorefast attempted to block attacks, but it was really janky. And for the love of God, bring back the boss endings where we can celebrate because we earned it. Not whatever this is.
The death animation where he just melts like the Wicked Witch.
And the ending is such a relief. You know, you get to dance, shove Dosh up its ass, like all the good stuff. I do want to make more videos. I'm just kind of dealing with a medical issue at the moment, so they might be quite slow. But looking over the latest map posts too, they look promising. You know, very reminiscent of Burning Paris, which I adore. They actually injected some color into the game, so yeah, the lighting, shadows, everything looks nice. I did actually see their UI post as well. It is a step in the right direction. It looks kind of similar to Killing Floor 2's. However, the font is not good. It looks a lot like Comic Sans, or something like Cascadia or something like that. They just need to take a big step back and assess the quality of their game. You know, nail the attention to detail and all the other things like the UI and the animations. And then the game may be good. We can only hope. And thanks again for all the love on the other two videos. All the comments were awesome. You know, even the nasty ones were quite funny. But yeah, follow my socials if you want. You'll probably just see pictures of my cat, Sparrow. I do want to stream soon as well, but we'll see.